everyone, it's Liz with Back to the Bookshelf. I thought I would share another story time, this time about a creepy experience that happened to me, probably one of the top two weirdest experiences I've ever had. Let's rewind back about 5 years or so. My boyfriend and I had just started dating and we lived about an hour apart. So he was up in the DC area and I was an hour south. And typically, Friday after work, I would drive up there, spend the weekend together, and I would come back home Monday morning. I had made the transition to a smartphone. It was a Droid years before, but he always had one of those little old flip phones. I don't know the brand, but it was a flip phone. And any kind of alarm or ring that he had on his phone kind of had that electronic like MIDI sound and not anything like the songs you can download for any kind of smartphone. But I always made fun of him with his alarm because it had this tinny mechanical song that sounded like people were running a race. It was like and it was just really weird. My phone, any kind of alarm or ringtone pretty much sounded like you would hear on the radio, with that kind of quality. So it wasn't anything near the little electronica sound of his phone. So one weekend after I had returned, so a couple days later in the week, I was sleeping and my alarm was set to go off at around 7:30, and I was woken from my sleep by the electronic ringtone of my boyfriend's phone. And I grabbed my phone, and my phone wasn't ringing. It didn't look like an alarm was going off, and that was definitely not any kind of ringtone that my phone could produce, because I went through every ringtone and song and music and download that was on my phone, and nothing came even close to anything of that electronica sound. So I thought that was really weird, and I texted my boyfriend, and I'm like, I just had what I think is a paranormal experience. And he's like, what happened? And I said, well, my alarm rang at the time that it was supposed to ring, 7:30, but the ringtone, which was a song, I believe, a song that I had downloaded a clip from as a ringtone, that didn't go off as my ringtone, but your electronic ringtone went off. And he's like, that's really funny because my alarm didn't go off at 7:30 this morning like it usually does. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. My phone did not have that electronic ringtone in its library of ringtones, nor was it anything that I had downloaded onto the phone. And I thought it was even weirder that at the time his alarm was ringing on my phone, his alarm didn't ring at all. No alarm rang on his phone. And he uses his phone as his alarm. So I'm like, that's really weird. The phones were not the same brand. One was a flip phone, one was a smartphone. So to this day, I have no idea what that creepy ghost in the machine thing was going on between our cell phones 30 miles apart.